Hey guys, Gary J here. Today we're talking about tips on shooting handguns, or you could use that for rifles as well. Now this is a computer program called Guns and Ammo from the magazine Guns and Ammo, and this is an old program right here, but I still like this program. And this one here, for anyone that gets into handgun shooting or rifle shooting, is a nice program to have, to me. Probably very cheap now. They wasn't expensive to begin with. But this one up here, you see with the cursive handgun shooting. And so we want to shoot this one. We hit play, and this player, we'll just go OK. Now, what we have here is a selection on the right here of handguns. Now, with each gun, it has a lot of different pistols in this section here. And with each pistol, like this is called the Colt Anaconda. And the type is double action Magnum. It's a 40, and the caliber here is 44 Magnum. So double action means you can pull the hammer back and shoot it, or you can pull just the trigger alone to shoot it. The capacity is 6 rounds. The barrel is 5 inches long, 6 inches long. The weight is 53 ounces. The finish is matte stainless steel. That's the finish here, is matte stainless steel. And the sights are adjustable, which is good. And the grips are made out of thermoplastic target style. That would be this design is target style. So if you want to look at another pistol, Colt King Cobra here, it has same stats here. I mean, they're different, but it's the caliber, the capacity, 6 rounds, the barrel's 4 inches, the weight, 42 ounces. And Colt Python, EAA standard grade, Lady Ultra, Ultra Mag, Rossi. Ruger GP100, which is a really nice pistol here. 6 round, 357, weight 40 ounces. Ruger Red Hawk, that's the 44 Magnum right here, double action, 54 ounces, 7.5 inch barrel. That's a big pistol. I've had one of those. The Ruger SP100, Super Red Hawk, Smith & Wesson, all these different pistols right here. Smith & Wesson, Taurus 44. And so again, you have the type, double action Magnum, caliber 44 Magnum, capacity 6 rounds, barrel length. So it gives you a lot of information there. That part is good to know. Now, if you wanted to play with that one or another one, this is a 357 Smith & Wesson 19 model. We'll use that one. And here we have a course. And this is what I want to show you on these courses right here. If you're a professional shooter or if you're a beginner, this is what happens when you aim at a target. And now, if you notice your front sight, now on this video game, it only shows the front sight. You should be looking through your rear sight to your front sight, but this is a video game. Now, in order to be accurate with this video game, the top of your front sight, the very top of your front sight, is where your bullet's going to go. So, if you're a professional or a new shooter with a pistol or rifle and you aim at something, you're going to see this kind of sight picture. Your pistol is going to be bouncing all around your sight is. And you say, well, how am I going to shoot this target when my pistol sight is bouncing all around? You know, say that if you want to be deadly accurate. Well, you have to anticipate your front sight where it's going to be when you pull the trigger. So in this case, now what are you aiming at? Well, you say, I'm aiming at this whole round target right here. Well, don't aim at the whole round target. Aim at the black spot, the smallest spot you can find. In your mind, picture a fly or a dime or nickel in the center of that target. That's what you want to aim at. You know, you want to aim small. You have a better chance of hitting your target. So you have to kind of time this when you pull the trigger, okay? So we want to hit the black spot. I think we got the black spot there. And here we hit the black spot. Now what I'm doing is, watch the front sight now. Now some of these, it moves around a good bit. And you say, well, if you pull the trigger here, you're going to miss it. If you pull the trigger here, you're going to miss it. The bullet's going to go where that top part of that sight is. So you want your sight right dead center. So this is the paradox that people have when you shoot. A lot of people think, well, if I go shooting, then I can just aim at the target right here and I won't move a bit. Like on television, movies, they don't have any motion much, but you have to anticipate where your barrel is going and when it's coming across your target before you pull the trigger. And this way, you got to, it's like a video game, and this is a video game, but in real life, it's like a video game too. You're anticipating where that barrel's going. Now, if you're shooting a target right here and you say, well, if you notice the sight is down low, well, if you pull the trigger, you should be able to realize that you shot low when you actually pull the trigger, because you want it up here in the center of the target. Now this screen just tells you that you had 100%, you hit all your targets. So, and this game has 12 levels, but it's a good game to me. Now, like, take this tiny target right here. Now this tiny target right here, if you pull the trigger now, you missed it. And for 1 second there, it was right on the target. And the second shot, I made sure that I was at the bottom of it. Now, those are really hard to hit. But again, you've got to time it. Now, one of the things that I would say that when you're shooting these targets is that, that was a reload. When you're shooting these targets, that, again, you anticipate the movement of your barrel, and when it comes across exactly where you want to hit, you have to pull the trigger then. Now, since I'm doing this with a mouse, all I have to do is touch the mouse button, and that's boom, okay? That's about as easy as it gets. Now, when you're shooting in real life and you've got a trigger pull, you've got to pull your trigger. Manufacturers make trigger pulls about 5 or 6 pounds, some even more, but for safety reasons. They make them hard to pull. So if you're pulling a trigger that's 6, 7 pounds, you're going to pull your gun off the target. You may pull it to the right or you may pull it to the left of the target because it's so hard to pull. So if you're having that problem, when you pull it like you dead center right here, and then you go to pull your trigger, you pull your trigger to the right of the target, and it goes off right here and you miss. So what do? You can have your trigger worked on. You can have it modified so that your trigger pull is 2 or 3 pounds, so that when you actually do get on target and you pull your trigger, then it's real easy. You don't have that drag. So the sears is what it's called. The sears is part of the mechanism of the trigger. They can be refined and even sometimes replaced, especially in rifles. They can be replaced with a dual trigger, and you can adjust the trigger pull. And you see we're bouncing around here. Wait until it gets to the right point. Now that was the hard one because that was a smaller target there. So you got to have patience when you shoot. And this is why I've showed some of the 22 pistols, and they're cheap to shoot, but if you shoot a 22 a lot, you will have the same kind of sight picture, and you'll be able to pull the trigger when you know it's the right time to pull the trigger. And the Ruger 22s have real soft trigger pulls compared to most pistols. And, you can always just check them out, as long as you don't get one that's got a real stiff trigger pull. And so you really learn quickly, I think, compared to others, on shooting a 22 long rifle, pistol. Learn how to shoot that and get your sight frame and picture down. I have some cartridges that cost 50 cents a piece up to $5 a piece to shoot. And you don't want that. You don't want to learn on a $5 cartridge for every time you shoot. So that's why 22 is so nice. And one other thing too is that when you're shooting and you happen to, the 22 is not going to kick much and it's not going to scare you. But when you grab hold to a 357 Magnum or a 44 Magnum or 445 Super Mag, those things are real cannons sometimes, and they will scare you. Now, to me, in order to shoot those accurately, I pretend, in my mind, they're like a 22 pistol when I pull the trigger. I say to myself, this is a 22, this is a 22 pistol. So I don't have a tendency to jerk the trigger. And what happens is that when you pick up something that's bigger like a 44 Magnum, it scares you when that thing goes off. Make sure you got really, really good hearing protection because it'll bust your eardrums. You keep shooting something like that. So when you, like right here, if I had a 44 Magnum and I'm afraid of it and I pull the trigger, I'm just going to jerk the trigger like that. You don't really realize you're jerking the trigger, instead of just carefully waiting, because that's going to be a big boom and it's going to be loud and scares you, and the gun's going to kick back. So you're just going to jerk the trigger when you pull it. That's just something people do. They flinch, we call it. So pretend it's a 22 and just kind of get in the zone and shoot your target. Make sure you have hearing protection and make sure that whatever you shoot in targets, that you're on a target range or someplace that is safe, that bullets can't ricochet and hit someone, or houses like back over here or something like that. Because if you accidentally shoot somebody, you're in a heap of trouble. You may end up going to prison. So make sure you got a safe place to shoot. I hope these little tidbits will help you when you shoot and give you some idea that this is kind of the normal sight picture you're going to have. You just have to time it just right when you pull the trigger. So I shot right above the right corner of that right there. You see how it's bouncing around? So patience is a real key right here. And I shot right above again. And I'm still shooting right at the top of that. So you have to wait and see exactly where you're going to shoot. I hope this helps you a little bit on shooting these kind of pistols, and maybe this program right here will show you some of the different types of pistols out there that you might be interested in. But you don't need a monster pistol. You just need something that's simple to shoot to begin with. The main thing I want to show you is that in real life, this is what you're looking at in your target, and you have to anticipate, like when your barrel starts to move right and left. Now, people with a rifle, for example, like snipers, some of those guys that I've talked to, they start taking in a breath. They inhale and exhale instead of the barrel, the sight going all around in a circle and making all these different moves like I'm doing right here. They start inhaling and exhaling until they get their sight going up and down vertical. And if you're going up and down vertical, then it becomes a little bit easier to control that one plane that you're on. See, as I was coming down, I shot it. Here's another one right here. Start going up and down, and breathe in and breathe out. And as you're coming down, pull the trigger when you think it's going to be over your target. But if you don't have a good trigger pull, again, when I pull that trigger, anybody pulls the trigger, unless you're really proficient at pulling the trigger straight back, on on different models of guns, some guns you'll be pulling it to the left when you shoot. Some pistols you'll be pulling to the right when you shoot. And if you notice you're doing that, you can always aim to the left a little bit if you know you're going to be pulling it to the right. That way when you pull it, you know it's going to hit your target. But you don't want to do that. You want to learn to get a good trigger pull. And you can have your trigger adjusted. But again, if you adjust it, real light, you have a chance of it going off prematurely and hurting someone. So, if you got one for target range or something like that, you can have a really light trigger pull. I have some pistols that are very sensitive with probably 1 pound or less trigger pull. But that's what I wanted to show you, is that this is the normal sight picture that you're going to see. So just wait till that. Do you feel like, once you play with pistols enough, you get this kind of feeling for shooting. But video games like this one, and I don't even know what's on the market anymore, but video games like this are very helpful when you go shooting. You can sit down and start playing with a game like this right here, and this will help you with getting your timing down. But again, if your trigger pull is not right, then you're going to have that worked on to get the trigger pull you want. I hope this helps you a little bit in how to shoot these pistols more accurately. Thanks for